Hello, everyone. This is the Overland Journal podcast. I'm here with my co-host, Scott Brady, and bestie, Bryon Dorr. We're going to interview him today and make him feel slightly uncomfortable.
Yep. And we've guaranteed that nearly by you having 3 Pabst Blue Ribbon and a Coors in front of you right now.
2 Coors Cowboy cans?
Coors.
Yeah.
Those Coors.
I'm not driving. Don't drink and drive. But we have just all come off of working 12-hour days at Overland Expo, so we're going to do what we feel like, mainly.
And I figure if it's good for Brian Reynolds and I think
Jason
Momoa has
Scott Brady has
a
now
privately labeled alcohol.
This is Scott Brady tequila. It strangely looks like urine. It may or may not be. And he does have what was once a Brita pitcher.
Yes.
Next to him, filled with what may or may not be tequila, which has several different Overland International brands on it. My favorite being the expertly prepared branding package here.
Yes.
See, when you pull this off,
it twists like a...
Yeah, it twists. Oh, it twists. Yeah, look, it twists with Expedition Portal.
Yeah, exactly.
Which, if you don't read Expedition Portal, you probably should.
Mostly after drinking tequila.
Yeah, please go on the Expedition Portal forum after a bottle of Scott Brady tequila.
Yeah, exactly.
And
it's good when it twists off. That's the best kind of tequila.
Yeah. So we're here with Bryon. Bryon is an accomplished Overlander, automotive journalist, and you do the things that requires your heart rate to be up, and you exercise in various ways outdoors.
Yes.
Scott and I do not.
Human-powered and dino juice-powered adventures are all about both.
So world-class kayaker. You mountain bike. You do the thing where you use gravity down the ski slopes.
Oh, yes.
Skiing.
All of the things. Skiing, snowboarding.
All of the things. Yeah.
Both skiing and snowboarding.
Yeah. Snowboard instructor back in the day and recently ski photographer. Yeah.
Oh, cool.
I've had the pleasure of traveling all over the world with Bryon. I've had the pleasure of Bryon coming for Thanksgiving and leaving for New Year's. And I'm just stoked to have you here.
You were on our original list of guests, and it's taken this long. It's taken almost 2 years.
Well, we had that many people that we wanted ahead of Bryon.
That's not true. That's not. You were actually very. You were
busy, like moving from a nomadic life.
Yeah.
To marrying a wonderful woman, Kate, whom we all love, and having a beautiful baby, Rose, and having a roof over your head that does not pop up. And
I hope not.
Those historic homes, anything is possible.
Anything is possible, yes.
Yeah, modern homes. Like them more.
1928, it's old.
Yeah.
So, how do you describe Bryon Dorr?
And that's B-R-Y-O-N. About myself in the third person or first person?
B-R-Y-O-N. Yeah, that's an important distinction.
Yes.
Pronounced D-O-R-R. So, like, if you try and spell your name the way you think it's spelled, you're going to mess it up.
If you try to spell it the most wrong, the worst that you can think of, you're probably about right.
Scott and I do not have that problem. All of our names, first names.
Exactly.
Yeah.
This is true.
There's 6 first names on this side.
Yeah, exactly. That's true. Scott, Allen, Brady. Yeah, they're all first names.
Yeah.
That makes us. I think that makes us very suspect, Matt.
Incredibly.
Is that the only thing that makes you guys suspect?
No. That's one of a long list.
Yes.
Yeah. So, I guess Overland life kind of started for you with your sportsmobile.
It did, yeah.
Yeah, you were in Portland.
2011.
You were running, what was the name of the shop that you were running? You were an outdoor industry buyer.
Yes, at the time I ran a large paddle sports retailer, part of a big outdoor store. It was called Next Adventure.
Still around, I think, right?
Still around, still getting bigger and bigger. Yeah, they're killing it. So I moved about a 2,000 square foot paddle sport department in the big outdoor store, so think local REI style thing. Took that little 2,000 square foot to employee thing to a 15,000 square foot paddle sports center with 16 employees and 2 vans and a rental program and 3,000 plus students through a school a year in about a under 3-year program. I took that thing from making okay money to making well over $1 million a year. So it's good.
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah, I think that's one of the things for me that is really interesting about you, Bryon, is that you've gained a level of mastery in a bunch of totally disparate activities. So you've gained a significant level of mastery in water sports. You've gained a notable level of mastery as an automotive journalist, but then you've also started and run and grown businesses to a pretty significant degree of success. What would you say is the common thing amongst all of them about you that's allowed you to do that?
Probably really enjoying and excelling when things are continuously moving and you have to react to it, and have already planned ahead, had 4 or 5 plans enacted, and then deal with what's coming at you when it happens. It's in whitewater when you're in the middle of a rapid, you're not turning around and going back. You're going downstream one way or the other at that point. And you got to deal with what comes at you, whether you expected it or not. And I think it's the same with business and everything
So you
else.
find yourself to be effective as a tactician or planner, but
bit.
then it seems like that you are certainly effective in the moment. Like when something goes suddenly sideways or upside down,
For sure.
as
Yeah,
businesses and whitewater kayaking.
I just think Bryon
does.
always has a plan. I mean,
Yeah.
Bryon's helped me so much with my business and starting Adventure Imports and a variety of things because you plan.
I'm decent at planning. I'm really good at situational awareness and having the knowledge and skill set from my history to deal with stuff that's happening at the time, and in a super appropriate manner that kind of is a plan for the future. So it might look like I have a plan, but it's just because I kind of made something happen on the fly back in the day that then created that situation.
So a big toolbox for you based on all of those experiences.
Yeah, I think so. I think my experiences in business and running multiple businesses, running business for other people, myself, all the above, paddle sports, action sports, that's all led to wanting to travel more and doing well and just figuring it out while on the road. I started out trying to be a professional photographer. That was 2011. I'm like, no debt, but no money. I mean, I had a couple $100 in the bank, but I owned my used sportsmobile that I bought, sold off my car, sold off everything I had. I think I had like $1,200, I think, in my bank account and my sportsmobile, but I had no bills. I mean, I had a cell phone bill, car insurance. That's it. No other bills. No Netflix, no Hulu, none of that stuff to add to the monthly bills. And I just hit the road, and I was like, I'll figure it out. I can always go get a job if I have to and slow down. But the plan was to go see lots of stuff and kind of follow the seasons, ski, snowboard, kayak, do all the above, and try to be a professional outdoor industry photographer, especially action sports. I love ski, snowboard, and kayak are kind of my passions.
What did you do before that? Before that moment in time?
Yep.
Because what we find when we interview people, there's something, either they hate their job or there's been a significant personal shift.
Yep.
What was the thing that brought you to that point to saying, I'm going to leave with my van and $1,200 and go see the world, or at least try?
Yeah, the 12 months before the 12 months before that, it was kind of a trifecta. Lost long-term girlfriend. We split, went our different ways, lived on different coasts at the time, and the second thing that happened was I was not getting the kind of respect and monetary value for the job I was doing, even though I was making it huge. So I was making the same money managing 2 employees at 32 hours a week as I was 80 hours a week managing 16 employees. And
Sure.
at some point you just sit back and go, this isn't going to work out long term. I'm wasting my time.
Yeah, have fun with that.
Exactly. So I said have fun with that, essentially. And the other thing that happened, kind of the big thing that I always talk about, is I had 3 pretty close friends pass away in short order. So under 6 months, 3 friends, all younger than me, some substantially, some less, all 3 kind of doing what they love. Whitewater kayaking, freak accident there. And then a South African friend was actually rabies. So he took in a stray dog. It was licking him, and he's a rancher, so his hands were all cut up, and he contracted rabies through the cuts in his hands. Like, they didn't know the dog had rabies at all until he contracted it. So, but he, vegetable pretty quick, and that was rough. And he was 22, I think. So,
Wow.
That kind of was a big impact and eye opener. It was like not a dead end job, but like I knew I wasn't going anywhere. I wasn't getting kind of what I needed out of it, and saw people that were living life to the fullest that were gone. And I was like, it's time to do something different with my life. Time is the most valuable resource we all have. It's the one thing we can't get back. We can always earn more money or do this or do that, but time is, you never know. So it was time to hit the road and do something different. And that was, I didn't know what I would do, but it was in a situation where I didn't have I don't want to say baggage, but the baggage of pets or property or significant others or anything else, and debt. So I didn't have that. I paid it all off with a bunch of work, and was just ready to do something different. So fresh start.
Yeah, cool. Yeah. Amazing.
And I guess prior to that, you brought up kind of friends in South Africa and stuff. Yeah. You paddled like the Zambezi. I remember you telling me this one story where you hit the side of your kayak so the hippos don't come after you.
100%. When you paddle the flat water on the lower Zambezi, which isn't run that often, the inner gorge, the upper section just below Victoria Falls is pretty commonly run, and that's the harder rapids, and that's why people run it. It's really hard and really fun from an experienced kayaker point of view. But further down, it's flatter between the rapids and it's longer, and that's where all the hippos are and the freshwater crocs. So you paddle in those pools together in a group with the kayaks really close together, and every other stroke you tap the boat with the paddle, and it makes enough noise all together that it makes you seem really big, and then they don't mess with you. You hope. So I know a friend that got eaten by a freshwater croc, so it's a thing.
Yeah, they don't have a higher discernment of prey. Yep. So like anything that looks like protein is prey.
Yep. Yep, for sure. Yeah, the Zambezi is amazing. Like if you ever get a chance, if you're not a kayaker, it doesn't matter. Go raft it though, even if you're not a kayaker. Like epic place to be. As a kayaker, the rafts don't go here, but up the rapids are numbered 1 through, I forget what it is, 20 something. And there's negative rapids, and the negative rapids are below Victoria Falls, like directly below where it flows and the falls fall off the rocks. And you have to actually paddle upstream and kind of do a portage and then ferry across the current to get up there. So rafts don't really go there. But I stood in that area, saw some friends run the minus rapids. I didn't. It's really, really hard, like class 5 plus. It was amazing. I got some amazing images as a photographer, but I got to stand under one of the smaller waterfalls falling off Victoria Falls, like directly under it. And that was just like a super moving experience for me. Like that's a place that so very few people have been. And it's one of the many things in my life that really connected me to whitewater as a thing to go explore places on the planet that other people just haven't been, or very, very few people have been. Being on the river and traveling by water is a unique perspective on the world. And it's really cool, especially really remote creeks. Kind of early on, I studied abroad in Tasmania in Australia. And there's this really remote creek that had been run once before, and it poured rain for like 5 days, and it started flowing. And I had all my friends there, like drag me out of bed in the morning super early. We went out there and did it. It was way above my head, skill level wise at the time, and probably shouldn't have been there. It was pouring rain all day. But I ran in like inappropriate gear, rapids above my head, like in the middle of nowhere. You're not going to get help. There's no cell service. We didn't have Garmin inReaches back then. And just the teamwork and being in those places was just the most special thing. And that's what really hooked me. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to travel the world to do this because it's going to take me places that others don't go. And I like that.
Yeah, man. I mean, it's always been interesting. Like as a friend, we've been friends for a while now, and just there's always a new layer of Bryon Dorr. You're like a very complicated, slightly salty onion.
Salty for sure.
Salty. Anybody that knows Bryon will be laughing right now. Okay, so you've done the Zambezi. I know prior to that, you were involved with importing kayaks and kayak equipment. That was a big part of your life prior to that. So let's fast forward to what we initially talked about was the sportsmobile.
Yeah.
So you love vans for some reason.
I do.
I mean, you're like pre all of this van life thing.
Oh, totally pre-van life.
Yeah. Pre van life.
Yeah.
You get this. It was 4-wheel drive, right?
Yes.
Absolutely. Yeah. So it's 4-wheel drive.
It was a Quigley 4-wheel drive on 33s, extended body E350 with the 7.3 diesel. It was a full sportsmobile build, so it had a.
Did it have a pop top or a solid top?
Pop top.
Nice.
Yeah. For me, pop tops are required because my roofs are for adventure gear, kayaks and mountain bikes and skis. So a full height one, you just get too high.
Yeah,
I want to be able to fit down trails.
Yeah, it makes sense.
I'm always on the pop top.
I remember being, because we kind of got into the overland world right about the same time.
Very similar, yeah.
Found each other pretty quick, became friends, been friends since. Been to each other's weddings. Yep. Actually, both of you guys were the only non-family I had on my side at the wedding.
It's an amazing wedding. If you guys haven't talked about that yet, sure.
Yeah, we did talk about it a little bit. I mean, it was the most beautiful wedding. I mean,
It was
scene
appropriate for you
was just
and Laura, for sure.
just gorgeous.
13 people.
You needed 4-wheel drive to get there.
You needed 4-wheel drive to get there. Yeah,
of course it was awesome.
It was at like 11,500 feet
It was
or something.
incredible.
My 2-month-old baby did really well at 11,000
Yeah,
feet.
Rose was the star of the show.
I don't know. Dak was loved by everybody.
We did. My dog and I had matching suits.
That was classic.
That was pretty cool.
That was amazing.
Well, we just valued what we valued. We valued a core group of friends, and then we spent the money on a ridiculous honeymoon and traveling because after all this COVID stuff.
Yep.
Anyways, but
yeah, so Sportsman was before times back in 2011, and that was like honestly that came about. I didn't know anything about Overland World or the van.
You're like a
life or any of
reluctant
that.
overlander.
Yeah,
Like
I don't even
overlanding-
know anymore.
Overlanding has been like this, has been a tool and a general industry that has allowed you to do other activities.
I love automotive stuff. As a kid, I'm a sports car guy, Ferrari guy, the whole 9 yards. But I was never like way into 4x4s or I camped. I went to Boy Scouts and camped in tents and stuff. But I don't know that I'm an overlander. I want to live in a van down by the river. Like straight up, that was me. That was like put the kayaks on there and chase the rain and go find rivers all over the planet. Or skiing. I mean, water, the cycle of water, right? Whether it's frozen or not, I enjoy using gravity and going down it. So.
I mean, you're kind of like the actual definition of overlanding. I mean, a lot of people call themselves that, but you're actually doing vehicle-based adventure travel. That's like literally what you did.
So it totally depends on the definition, right? Because for my first a lot of years, I lived about 8 years full time on the road between 2011 and 2018 something, so 7 something years. And I lived in a couple of different vehicles, but started with a sports wheel for a few years, and it was chasing water and doing all that. But the automotive stuff was a tool to go do the adventure. Like that was just a way to live cheap, so I could do the adventures. I mean, I lived under the poverty line for 5-6 years, and sort of by choice. Like I could have gone out and made more money. I had made more money before I started on the road, but it was enough to keep doing what I wanted to do and hone my skills in photography, learn a lot about off-road adventure, off-road travel, so recovery and all that kind of thing, how to drive off-road, and how to live in a camper and all that kind of thing. And then, the next step was the Sportsmobile was old and a little rusty to build another vehicle. And that was like the big next move. So, an 01 Dodge Ram.
How would you, before we move to that next section, this is really interesting to me. When you talk about living below the poverty line, I think Matt and I get a lot of questions about how do I afford to do this, or I can't do this because I can't afford it. That's really interesting to me. Would you mind talking a little bit about how you did that, how you made decisions financially, where you could go and travel and live in a van down by the river below the poverty line?
I think the key to that, and that's always the question, is like, how do you do it? And they don't mean how you do it; they mean how do you afford it, like, right? And the reality of that is, if it's a priority, you afford it. It's not that complicated. Everybody makes it a thing, and it's usually because they have hangups with societal norms and laws. So like, I want to own property. Oh, I got this house. Like I can't leave. I can't go do anything. I got to pay my mortgage. Or you can rent it out. There's ways, right? Or you can sell it. You don't need to own that. You don't need the white picket fence. Or I got kids. I can't travel. We all know plenty of people.
Yeah, we were literally just having a margarita with Graham and Louisa Bell.
Absolutely.
Raise their children
like
on
across
the
the
road.
world.
Amazing kids. Absolutely.
Totally amazing. Super well adjusted, funny. Yeah.
Yeah, so there again, all of those are just excuses because the priority isn't to go travel and do that. They might aspire to it, but that's not the priority in life. The priority is like, well, we want a stable school life and we want this and we want that. And that's fine. That's the thing that I think a lot of people got to get over is like, find the path that works for you in life at that time. I mean, my life's changed dramatically recently, and I'm fine with it. It's a new path.
Yeah, your priorities have changed.
It'll change again. Like
you have a rad garage now too.
I have. If I have a roof over my head, I'm going to have a toy box garage. That's required.
Yeah. It's I feel like in a year, Bryon went from like living in a van down by the river to having a nice house.
All the
in
things.
Portland, to having a Lexus and this awesome garage and a 911 turbo. I mean, I think it just kind of goes to show the capability of you as a person. I mean, one of the things I've always thought about you, Bryon, is that, you talk about what you're just saying with priorities and what you value in things. And, you're a highly intelligent person that has been able to figure out how to do whatever they want whenever they want.
Sort of.
That's well, and that's the definition of wealth. And a lot of times, people confuse being rich with being wealthy. Being rich means that you spend a lot of money. So that means some people make $1 million a year and they spend 1.2 million. They're very rich. But the person who is wealthy is doing what they want to do when they want to do it. And sometimes doing what you want to do requires more money than someone else because what they want to do is different. But that's really the only true definition of wealth, is being able to do what you want when you want, and you did that. So you were very, very wealthy, much more so than most Americans.
For sure, yeah, and it wasn't money. I'd say it was not rich part of wealthy for sure. But yeah, and then actual dollars and cents and how to make it work, right, is to piece the puzzle together. You have your fingers in a million different things, or be really good at one thing that pays well and do that on the road. But that is hard. That's not for everybody to do. I went the route of putting my fingers in everything because I wanted to be a photographer. That was my goal. In today's world, everybody wants everything. So to be a good photographer or get paid for it and get ins with editors and everything else, you have to also be a good writer, maybe be a personality, maybe have a social media presence, maybe have video and YouTube stuff going on. There's a lot of facets to marketing yourself these days, especially in the media world, and the media landscape continually changes, as we all know. So yeah, it's just piecing it together. So I did commercial photography, I did editorial photography, I did editorial photography and writing. Eventually got into editing other people's stories, doing copyright, or copy editing, and doing that stuff for brands as well as...
You're doing a bit of like marketing consulting.
Social media management, marketing consulting. So I have a bit entrepreneurial, a Bachelor of Science in Business Administration with a concentration in entrepreneurial marketing. Like, that's the degree I have.
I always knew you had a BS.
I have lots of BS, a whole lot of that. So yeah, so I mean,
this whole table.
The whole table. I hired myself out of college and started my own company, and so I used my degree. But I think just finding your own path and figuring it out is the puzzle. So events management work, run some people's social media, take some photos over here for a company, write some stories and take some cool photos on your adventures and sell those to some magazines. Print always pays a little more than online. So just kind of piece it all together.
The cool thing you've always done is you've always been like really diversified in your work. And I think that's been the key to you having been able to do this for so long, right? Like, I mean, obviously there's been changes, that you wanted in recent times, but I think, the lesson, as we were talking about, how do you do it? So many people will put all of their eggs in one basket. They have a job with Google or some tech company or something, and they get to work remotely. And that is it for them. That is their one income source. Right. And as soon as that job changes or they don't like that job or something, their priority still maybe was their career or something else. And I think what you said was smart is like, what is figure out your actual priority and then kind of make it work from there. And I think by diversifying, you did that.
By diversifying, it gives you the freedom and flexibility to make it work as your priorities change. I think that's a really good segue into just a little piece of kind of the recent history is April 2020, like the world was ending, right? Everything shut down. Maybe not down here in Arizona, but everywhere else in the world.
Well, certainly in Portland where you are.
Yeah, in Portland, Oregon, where I was.
It felt like the end of days in Portland then.
It did, yeah. That was before a lot of the protests and riots and stuff. But April 2020, I lost about 80% of my income within a week and a half. So every outdoor industry company and some companies in this space that I was running social media for and doing corporate photography or commercial photography for, they laid off all their freelancers and like 30-40% of their staff, right? Everybody was getting laid off at the time. So freelancers the first to go because they're not on salary and in-house. And then all events were canceled. So I helped run the Northwest Overland Rally, help with the BC Rally, teach sometimes at Overland Expo and stuff like that. So run some music festivals for operations management. All that stuff gone, disappeared instantly, right? So right around April, everybody canceled everything for at least the next 6 months. So I'm looking at it like, wow, all right. But luckily, the company, again, it's being diverse and knowing people. It's all about connections, right? Like you get your foot in the door places and prove that you can create and deliver whatever it is they're looking for. So I was working for GearJunkie.com at the time, big outdoor industry site, and I've always positioned myself as the guy between automotive and outdoor adventure. And that's what I do. I love being outside and doing active adventure sports and human-powered stuff, but using vehicles to do really fun trips to get there is awesome. And you kind of need vehicles to carry kayaks around because they're big. They're not very good on a motorcycle. I've tried. I have done it, but it worked out where like a week later I got my first in my life like salaried job with benefits, running a site called Autowise.com and being the motors editor over at Gear Junkie. So it was a huge change for me, but I worked it out in my contract because I brought so much to the table with my industry experience and connections that I can still freelance for everything. So I still have fingers in everything. I still help with events when they happen, hopefully more so here coming up soon, and do lots of social media stuff a little bit. I'm getting out of that a little bit. I'm trying to refocus on my photography because that's what my passion is. So my free time stuff, I was just out shooting a truck this morning for a print magazine.
You're shooting Mario's new Atera.
Yeah, the new Atera
from
camper.
AT Overland.
Yeah,
very cool camper.
It's very slick. Yeah, he just showed that off at Overland Expo, and we took it out in the mountains and got some really cool shots this morning. Some neat clouds with the weather, and that'll go in print because I'm the feature editor at Tread magazine, so that's kind of my print job. I still keep my finger in that, and then it'll go on Gear Junkie as well. We got an exclusive back in the day from Mario with some of the CAD drawings and stuff, so kind of debuted that online, which was super cool to show that off to the outdoor audience. And that camper is really fun for 4Cs and everything. Like that should be pretty sweet as a ski lodge for sure.
And it's fairly priced too. Yeah. I mean, to get
not inexpensive, but fairly priced in this industry and really well made.
Compare it
you pay for what you get.
Quality is never cheap.
100%.
I mean, like my AT camper, I have like the Summit, and that thing has just been a
they're bomber.
It's bomber. I mean, I've had mine airborne a lot.
For sure. Those pop-top style truck campers are pretty amazing. There's a huge variety of companies out there. An article I wrote for Gear Junkie, I think in 2018, I did a roundup of all of those. And it's one of the top performing stories still to this day on GearJunkie.com. I know Expedition Portal has a very similar one where you guys got to test every one, and I've had my hands on every one that I wrote about in that article, and those are the top two on a Google search for that product.
Yeah.
So.
I am not the top Google search for that product.
You are not.
I'm disappointed.
We'll have to try to sneak.
Again, it's priorities, man.
Yeah, I update.
You have other priorities like Dak.
Yeah,
and Laura,
lovely greyhound, rescue greyhounds.
You're
lovely.
Your baby Dak, yes,
baby boy Dak.
Yeah.
Snood season has started in the greyhound world.
What is this?
They're like a sock that goes over their neck and keeps them warm.
And then you can
put it over their little cute ears.
I saw you putting that on the dog this morning.
It's snood season. Fall has begun.
The things you learn hanging out
on the Overland Journal
podcast.
Yeah, we just learned about snoods right now.
Snoods, man.
I mean, you got to keep your greyhound warm when you're overlanding. That's the thing.
Exactly.
Everybody's going. When we were at Overland Expo. Oh, whose car is this? My dog's. What about that one? My dog's. They're all outfitted for my dog. I mean, the LJ.
Yeah.
It's basically a moving dog bed.
I mean, we talk on a regular basis about all of your new vehicles and which ones you're getting next, and it's always no lay flat seats. We can't have that one.
Yeah, like the new G-Wagon just makes me so angry that it does not have a flat loading floor because Dak
it does in the very back, doesn't it?
Yeah, but he will not tolerate that.
Oh. He needs his child
how would you
feel
so like if Aaron got a new car and you had to exclusively sit in the third row seat? Think about it.
This is true.
You would be hurt.
Yeah, this is
my
true.
little boy hurt.
Well, the new Bentley will work for you. Just so you know, the Bentley Continental has a nice lay flat. Like you put a little dog bed in there.
I can tell you from experience that a Greyhound does not fit in a Bentley Continental GT.
The new one, it might.
The Bentayga, for sure.
Oh, okay. All right. Bentayga's an interesting choice. That'll be fun for some off-road adventures. I'm in. I'll photograph that.
They're just really ugly.
Ooh.
Like
the front, like directly from the front is okay, but any other angle is not okay.
It's just kind of like
the rear haunches are a little rough.
Yeah, it's kind of like the middle-aged woman of cars.
I like the front fenders though.
Not that there's anything wrong with a middle-aged woman.
Say, wait a minute.
Yeah. What did you mean by that, man?
I don't really know, actually, now that I think of it. I'm going to
drink some more of your cheap Russian beer over there.
You know,
before you take your,
do the Russians own Pabst Blue Ribbon?
It
Is that what
says
happened?
established in Milwaukee, 1844. What I read on Facebook is true, even if it came from the Russians. You haven't even opened your beer.
No, I haven't.
Bryon
Is the only one that's actually smart at this table.
Here's something to know about Bryon. He is the most pretentious beer person I've ever met in my life.
He does live in Oregon. I mean, is this like a surprise?
I mean, does he want like a kombucha delivered by Subaru microbrew made by? I don't know. I don't know what you do. I mean, and you like dark beers.
I like dark imperial.
The beers you like are as dark as my soul.
Your soul might be a little dark. Just a little bit.
Well, cool. Thanks, bro.
On that note.
What's up, buddy? No, dark beers are the key. Porter stouts, barrel aged, like multi levels of flavor in your mouth.
I mean, so what's your favorite beer? Because you do like that beer app.
Yeah, I do. What is that called? I don't even. Untapped.
Untapped.
That's the beer app.
So you can look it up and it'll give you the tasting notes and flavors and rankings.
It does that a little bit. I use it as a ranking thing so I can look up if I had already had that beer or not, and if it was any good.
Ah, okay.
So
what you thought of it?
What I thought of it. So
Interesting.
You rank it and you can leave notes and stuff.
Ah, Roger.
Yeah. So it's fun because I travel a lot, and when I do, I tend to eat at breweries a lot because then I get a sampler, enjoy all the local beers. But
Speaking of you eating, you now eat vegetables.
Some. I'm still a weird picky eater.
Like anybody that actually knows Bryon that's listening to this podcast will be laughing right now.
I've never seen Bryon be picky.
Oh dear God.
No, I mean we've had many dinners together. And I mean,
have you lived with Bryon on different continents?
No, but
I'm just telling you. Like
maybe the menu helps because then you can kind of figure out what's in each thing. But I've never seen you be.
Bryon has married a vegan.
I have, yes.
And Bryon has essentially become vegan.
No, not even close. I had a filet mignon wrapped in bacon the other day, like 3 days ago.
Yeah, because you weren't around Kate. I know you.
I would eat it in front of her.
You're like me when I get loose from Laura, and I like pretend to be cool and drink beers, but at home I like drink seltzer water.
That's fair.
Cuddle with my dog.
I've seen that happen. Yeah. That was last night.
That was within 24 hours of this podcast.
At 8:30.
That's right. I came home later, and Matt, you were already.
You are an old soul, Matt. I've noticed that from the very beginning. At 21, you were like.
Well, the only consistent thing in my life since I've been 21.
PBR.
Pabst Blue Ribbon.
Yeah. It has been owned by people on different continents, but you've continued drinking it either way. Yes.
You know, and I'm disgusting. I like it slightly warm.
Oh.
One of the best photos I have of Matt Scott is the Northwest Overland Rally. He flew in for the event, and he was given a press car, a Range Rover, maybe autobiography. Beautiful car.
I remember this.
On his way, he had his flip-flops on, he had his shorts on, he had probably a Hawaiian print shirt on, and he rolls up with a 24-pack of...
It was a 30 rack, bro.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm not
up. At
up.
the time, PBR still came in 30 racks.
I'm not up on my PBR program here. Rolls up, and I walk up to him. The first thing I see is him sitting on the tailgate of a Range Rover Sport with his leg dangling off, cracking a PBR. He showed up at the Northwest Overland Rally. It was quintessential Matt
Champagne
Scott.
budget, PBR taste.
Sometimes, yes.
Sometimes.
He does love his rosé too.
I'm a rosé slut.
Yes.
But most gingers are.
I drank the Four Seasons Tanzania Safari Lodge out of rosé.
That does not surprise me.
Yeah, that was my.
They're like, we're so sorry, Mr. Scott.
Yeah, they didn't fly in more rosé for you. I mean,
they literally sent someone to Arusha. Yeah. If anybody knows Tanzania,
that's a ways.
They understand that one.
That's a ways.
So champagne budget sometimes.
Well,
points are awesome.
I'm a points hoe.
I know.
You know, like
it's good. But back to food, I am a super picky eater. Always have been. Meat, cheese, bread kind of guy. If there's any color on my plate, I probably didn't eat it. It was all brown, right? You want the rainbow on your plate to eat healthy, and I didn't really do that for a long time. But on the flip side, I don't ever do fast food. I don't drink sodas. I don't drink energy drinks. I keep away from sugar generally. I do have a sweet tooth, but I try to not get into that too much. I don't eat candy or things like that. I love ice cream and cheesecake. Cheesecake's my weakness.
Ah, gotcha.
But I don't do it that often. Matt Scott's on beer number 2. And I married a beautiful vegan, and she
Beautiful vegan.
beautiful vegan. It's great.
I'm going to text Kate after this, be like, Bryon married a beautiful vegan.
My wife, Kate, is a vegan, and she's been great because she's really opened my eye. I've always wanted to eat more healthy and more vegetables, but I'm just a picky eater and don't like most of that. But she amazingly, we at home, we don't eat meat at all. Like, not vegan, vegetarian. Like, we put cheese on stuff.
I just remember, like, we just had lunch with the Bells, Ashley and Richard Giordano. There's a whole grouping of Overland people sitting right outside of that door. And I think you were eating a plate of chips.
After the carne asada tacos.
Oh, you did have steak tacos. Did you take the pickled cabbage off?
Yes.
Okay. He's not an imposter.
I'm with Bryon on this one. I mean, because Erin is vegetarian. She will eat fish. So I don't eat. I mean, I feel better eating less meat in my diet. It doesn't mean that when I go out to a dinner that I don't every once in a while have steak. I've never really liked chicken. I've never really liked.
It's kind of a diseased meat. Like, if you're going to get sick from one meat,
that's my thought.
it's going to be chicken.
And it's
pork.
also kind of wholesale slaughter. I mean, like, one meal is one chicken. Like, it's just like you can feed a family for a year off of one cow.
Yeah.
So to me, it seems like there's less just overall death happening.
There's this place that ranches Spanish cows out by where we live.
The Aravaca float.
Yeah, and we should split a cow.
We should.
Yeah. Local meat.
No,
it's so hard to find.
The Baca float. Sorry.
It's so hard to find good meat.
Yeah, I'm into it. I'm totally down with that. But I get it. And I think you're right. I mean, I have felt healthier. I mean, for the last, even in a previous relationship, vegetarian. And I think eating that way for now years, I feel better overall than when I was eating meat all the time. So
100%.
I don't know that I would ever stop eating bacon, but
see, I'm not that big of a bacon guy.
Yeah.
I think bacon's quite
You're
basic.
off the podcast.
Yeah, I'm
you just
like,
got fired from your own podcast, Matt.
I don't know. I just like, it's okay. Like,
No, I get everybody's got a different thing. So
Bacon is the one thing that most vegetarians and vegans will crack on. Kate will not. She will not eat the bacon.
but Erin has said that she's like, if I was ever going to have meat, it would be bacon. That would be the one thing.
People who think bacon is great and is like their die-all meat have not had two things: Korean fried chicken and pork belly.
Oh, pork belly is pretty special.
Pork belly is pretty much bacon, let's be honest.
Yeah,
It is bacon. I mean, straight up, it is.
And it all makes sense. It all makes sense.
But it's like bacon plus. It's
Yeah.
it's like I'm gonna only drive a Ford Mustang, and then they've never driven like I don't know, like a Kia or something that's better.
Crispy peppered bacon is better than pork belly. I know. It's not the probably right opinion, but it's my opinion.
Yeah, maybe it's too fat.
Do you know
for
who
pork belly?
knows
Yeah.
meats?
Yeah.
Is the Koreans.
Oh yeah, for sure, no doubt.
My cousin's wife is Korean, and we went to Seoul with them.
Nice.
And I had the meat sweats for a week solid. Like we'd go to these meat markets, and then above the meat market are these like restaurants with the the Korean barbecue things, and they bring you all the kimchi and the little sides and stuff. I have never seen a little Korean woman eat so much meat. I mean, Bryon, she could out bacon you.
I don't know.
Solmi is a cool chick.
No doubt. Nice.
Yeah.
There we go. And
I'm ready to go to Seoul now.
Yeah,
Like, I've not
sounds
been
like
yet.
No,
That's
to
on
be
the
honest,
list now.
To be
even
honest,
sooner.
Seoul, like as far as eating, I think if you're not like a super, super adventurous eater, I think that Koreans have a more similar palate to Americans than most other Asian countries.
Interesting.
Like, but they're perfectionists, right? Like they will take fried chicken, which was kind of, well, fried chicken's everywhere, but like American style fried chicken, and then they'll take it like to the next level, and it's twice fried. Yeah. So it's fried chicken that's not terrible.
Yeah.
Oh.
Like if you have KFC now, you're gonna be like, hey,
That's fast food. I don't eat that.
yeah.
It's barely.
I'm just saying, like they're like the only fast food chain that is anywhere and everywhere in the world.
Kentucky
What
Fried
is it?
Chicken.
Kentucky Fried Chicken.
It's insane. And I did not know that until I started traveling. You would think it'd be McDonald's. Nope. You go to Iceland, there's no McDonald's there. Fried
KFC.
chicken.
KFC and Burger King, because they're owned by the same company.
Yeah.
And Pizza Hut.
When Chris Cortez and I went to China together, it was like we went from looking at frogs for sale in the market right next to a KFC.
Yep.
Chicken.
Tasted like
people love chicken.
frog.
Here's the top secret Asian best food. One of the best meals I've had in my life. Niseko, Japan. There's 8 types of ramen in the world, and one of them comes from Niseko, Japan, and you can't get it anywhere else. We've tried to make it at home, and Kate does a good job, but it's not quite right. Potato ramen.
If you ask Laura very nicely, I'm sure she would be able to make it. This girl
requires special tools.
She has the press. She has like the noodle things.
Does she have the foamer? No, the foamer's the key.
I don't know if she has a foamer.
No, there's a foamer thing. Like,
weren't we just talking about this last night? And you're like, you should tear that wall down in your house. And I'm like, I guarantee you by the end of the year, that will be filled with like some kind of specialty kitchen equipment. There's going to be
Matt has a large kitchen and lots of storage, like a lot. And there's a wall half a wall between the kitchen, and the living room. And I'm like, it'd be better if that was like down. You'd have more flow, so you could cook and watch TV.
Like
and
I kind of agree, but you also don't eat the food that I do every night.
That's true. Yeah. So priorities.
Yeah.
So on the food thing, since you just talked about eating healthy and no fast food, I think that the one question I wanted to ask, there was several, but the one that was most important to me is how do you rank being physically fit for travel? Because it's an interesting thing that I've encountered in my travels. I always try to maintain a base level of fitness and strength. I mean, big spare tires and all these things that we have to do, recoveries and everything else, moving luggage around.
Which big spare tires are we talking about? The ones that we both have?
That's why I can carry a spare tires. I maintain a level of fitness. So I try to maintain like enough fitness to be an effective traveler, but how have you found that being really adventure ready, like at your level of fitness, how has that changed your travels? And what would you recommend people consider around fitness for overland travel?
Yeah, wow. I mean, my fitness ebbs and flows for sure, and it's usually based on injuries, whether injuries from adventure sports or old injuries from adventure sports that pop back up. My back's destroyed. And so like right now I'm super unfit. Really am. I haven't been working out much at all, but I've been traveling a ton. And I always feel worse when I don't work out and I'm not ready for the adventure, because I tend to when I go and do things, I don't kind of do them halfway. Like I haven't been mountain biking in a while and I'm like, oh, okay, I'm going to go solo the Wasatch Crest Trail. I'll be fine. 1,000 vertical ascent, 3,800 down, double black downhill trails or whatever on my enduro bike. It's fine. And it works out fine, and I do it, and I have fun. But when you get to the bottom and you try to wake up the next day and you can't get out of bed because your back doesn't work, it's kind of rough.
I'm old.
100%. But last summer, I ran my first ultra, so like 60-plus miles, and I was like in the best shape of my life, for sure.
Wasn't that for your 40th birthday?
Yeah, for my 40th birthday. I always wanted
to
run an ultra before I turned 40, and COVID hit and the world ended. So there was no events. So I just decided to do it myself anyway. So I went and did why am I brain dead all of a sudden? Right above Portland in Forest Park, there's the Wildwood Trail, and it's 30.2 miles each way and a huge ascent. I forget the total. It goes up and over this kind of huge hill up to Pittock Mansion. And I did that out and back, so 60.4 miles, and it hurt. But I did it solo. I had a couple friends hop in and kind of pace me a little bit and make sure I didn't die too much. I fell over on a tree root once on the way back because I was just not operating at full capacity at like 50-something miles.
What qualifies as an ultra marathon?
Anything over a marathon is technically 26.2.
Okay,
Is technically an ultra. But
I got it.
So like a 50K is like what, 31
what's
miles or something.
What's the general standard? Like, what do people really start to see that being as legit?
My personal standard, which I always hold myself way too high of a standard, is 50 miles or longer.
Okay.
Yeah.
So essentially twice a marathon.
Yeah. So I wanted to go run 50 plus miles in under 12 hours. That was my goal in a race. Well, there's no races, so I just went and did it myself. And this just was an easy goal. It was like 5 miles from my house. My wife supported me along the way. She joined, like, it crosses a couple of roads, and the rest of the time you're in the woods. And she'd stop and give me some more water or food or a change of clothes at halfway. I got all fresh clothes, which was amazing because it was in the middle of summer, middle of July, so it was super hot. But yeah, it was a blast. I mean, I always said I wouldn't do it again when I finished it, but it's just like marathon. It's like, oh yeah, I'll do another one. Why not? So the next goal is under 24-hour 100-miler at some point. I'm not in shape right now to do it, but it's on the bucket list.
Like, would that be a trail race, or do you want to do something that's more flat? And I mean, what's your goal on that 100-miler?
I very much like running in the woods more than just pounding pavement, and my joints and old man back very much appreciate trail over.
Gotcha.
So I don't, and I like the type 2 suffering when it comes to the elevation change. So trail run for sure, but hopefully not at altitude, because that hurts me. I live at sea level right now, but coming up here, even to Prescott and stuff, 5,000 to 7,000 foot between here and Flag, and even at Matt's wedding at like 11,000 foot, and I did like an 18-mile bike ride the morning.
All you needed was one of these.
Yeah, one PBR. So I got up super early the morning of Matt's wedding and did a 18+ mile bike ride with like 1,400 vertical ascent and 28 down. It was rough. It hurt at 11,000 feet. So yeah. Again, being adventure ready, like you said, is for me. I try to do, when I'm working out a lot, I try to every day do push-ups. Every time I go in and out of my room, I have a pull-up bar in my office in the doorway, and try to hammer out a couple of pull-ups.
That's smart.
Just kind of a good I got a little campus board in the entranceway to my garage, so it's the same kind of thing. Like every time I go in and out, I try to at least do a pull-up.
And that's the little like climbing with the bunch of different holds on. Is that what that's called?
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
We could get those here.
We should.
Just put one above the door.
We have a gym next door that none of us use.
We also have an electric scooter to go to the gas station to get Red Bulls.
That's like me I really want a one wheel. They're really, really fun.
Yeah.
But if I got one, I would never walk. I hate walking. I'll run, but I hate walking.
It's boring.
I don't hike.
Moving
I
your
don't
legs
walk.
about is just
It hurts. I don't like it.
very 19th century.
Like biking and running, bicycling and running are like a good speed. You can see the world at a really good pace.
Yeah, do you kind of think hiking's boring? I always think hiking's boring sometimes.
Hiking's ridiculously boring unless it's somewhere really special,
Really,
where the
really
only way
cool.
to get there and get some epic photo.
But how would you ever get a date on Tinder if you didn't have hiking in your profile?
I'm pre-Tinder and I'm done with that. Did you ever have to do Tinder?
I did.
Yeah, I never did.
You had to have hiking on there.
No,
You have to.
I didn't though.
Loves hiking. Oh, you didn't?
No hiking.
How many dates did you
The
get?
first date was hiking. That's the best part.
But then you ended up meeting a lovely wife through friends. I
Yep.
believe that she liked your jacket at a mutual friend's wedding or something, right?
She thought I looked outdoorsy with my outdoorsy
That's what
jacket
she said.
and
She
my
told
big camera.
she told us the story, and she's like, "Who is that good-looking outdoorsy guy?"
A mutual friend's wedding. Yep. But didn't meet her there. That's the fun part. She stalked me afterwards, and then we did it. I never saw her at the wedding. I kind of feel bad about that actually. She was hanging out with her mom, and I was hanging out with like a group of friends that I've had for longer than any other friends that I know.
Other
And
associated women you met on Tinder.
there was none
Please
there.
don't hit me, Kate.
There was none there.
Please don't. Okay, so on the fitness thing, because this is something that Scott and I will never be able to answer for our readers, ever.
Scott's fit. I don't know what you're talking about. You can whoop me right now.
Sure. So,
As long as it doesn't involve the running part.
yeah, okay. So let's just not put Matt in that position of choosing between friends.
No, Scott beat me on the Trek expedition by like 100 feet. We went different ways, so I don't know who was faster.
In running or like
was
high lift jack winching?
It was a navigation running thing, and he beat me by like 100 feet to the cars, but a different route. So I don't know whose was longer. So I don't know. I think he chose the better route, so that made him faster, I think. So he's smarter runner than me.
I did start ahead of you too, so that's
Considerably,
probably that helped as well.
So if you're living on the road, if you're doing a van life, what are 3 easy things to stay, because not everybody can bring a bike with them because they do take up a lot of space sometimes. They can't bring kayaks or whatever. But you should bring a bike. That's really fun. What are 3 easy things that people that are doing the life on the road, whether it's van or roof tent or whatever, how would you recommend that they stay fit? Because I always think when you're fit, you're in a better mental state.
100%.
You enjoy things more. You interact with the community. You interact with the terrain. You interact with the environment more.
Just have more energy.
Yeah.
Feel good.
Yeah. What are those 3 things?
3 things: no bikes, no kayaks. Oof. Running shoes. That's the easy one. You got to have like multiple running shoes. I have more shoes than my wife. That's a fact. Like I have trail running shoes.
Me too.
Trail running shoes, road running shoes. You got to have at least 2 because you got to swap out. When you're putting in big miles, and then you got mountain bike shoes, road bike shoes, kayak shoes, creaking shoes, playboat shoes for the kayaks. Like there's so many shoes. So let's see. Yeah, appropriate footwear for getting out there and adventuring. That's one. One that's really good that I don't do enough, at least for me, is just those elastic bands, like the ones you get from PT. Like they cut it off and roll different weights. Those are really good for shoulder exercise and stuff. I've blown out shoulders, and having like joints for your elbows and wrists and shoulders that work properly, you have better posture when you're sitting, and you just feel better. You can go do so much stuff when all those little ligaments are strong. Even if your big muscles aren't strong, you're just better at, you can handle way more abuse when you crash and stuff like that.
And what do you use for flexibility? Because when I think of being adventure ready, there's 3 things that come to mind. Stability is one of the most important, so we don't fall. A lot of injuries that happen in the backcountry. So stability comes to mind. Flexibility is the other thing that comes to mind, which is going to reduce our chances of injury. And then obviously we want to have a degree of strength. Now, cardiovascular fitness can happen in a bunch of different ways. But when I think about being adventure ready, the things that I find is you want to have a little bit of fuel in the tank. You want to have some cardiovascular fitness. But if I'm stretching well and I have good stability and I have good strength, I'm able to kind of do all of the things, the high lift jacking and the tires and all of that. What do you use for flexibility? I mean, what's your focus around that?
I'm horrible at that. Is the truth.
So am I.
I'm
That's why I'm
generally
asking.
flexible, but I don't work on it enough, and it definitely hinders my performance.
Yeah, I think that for me too.
When the best thing that I've found for that, honestly, is like Bikram Yoga, like once a week even.
What is Bikram Yoga? I know what yoga is.
So
and I have been sold on
kinds.
it. Like it's fantastic. We do it like at night before bed, and I'm just very like I sleep better. But what does Bikram mean?
I don't know. Bikram, I think it's a form. It's a type of yoga, but they do it hot sometimes, which is really good.
Oh, hot yoga.
That's slightly different. But normal Bikram yoga, I think it's just like kind of the normal based yoga. I think I'm really bad. I don't know that.
We'll put it in the show.
Yeah, notes. There's the show notes. We'll just the definition of Bikram yoga. But I know that's the type that I've done a bunch of, and it basically like it's strength, balance, flexibility kind of combined, and it's a lot of like stretchy postures while like holding a pose. So you're locking off a few muscles and stretching others, and I find that really useful, especially for core. Like me with the back, I have a tall torso. Like I got the same problem Matt's got. Woo! Yeah. And
Corgi built.
Yeah. And it just messes your back up. So the stronger your core is, the less back pain I have, and the more fit you can be. If your big core muscles are strong, and even if you have twigs for arms and legs, you can manage to do a lot of things really well. Especially if you have good form. So even at kayaking, like professional kayakers, like they have thin arms. They're not all bulked out. They have pretty big shoulders and really good abs because it's all core. If you have good form, if you have horrible form, you have biceps the size of Popeye.
Yeah.
But
those will get smoked pretty quickly.
Use the big muscles.
Yeah, that's interesting about that with the yoga. I agree. That's definitely been something that I have had a lot of success with. I need to do it way more.
100%.
If you go on to YouTube or any of the other tubes, and depending on what you're doing, so I would do an after run yoga session that was specifically for running, and like the recovery could improve by hours, if not days. Like it was because I'm not 20 anymore, so like doing that after exercise stretching like that was such a big deal.
Yoga, it helps.
I love yoga. I'm just always scared of doing yoga classes because every time I've done them, I just swear like a sailor. Like
I just fall over.
It's dead quiet, and he's in the corner swearing. That's great.
Yeah. Or
you didn't do your namaste, man. You gotta.
Yeah, I won't do that.
You gotta center your chi or something.
Yeah, I won't do that. I don't do that.
I usually just fall over. Like you try, like some of those ones, you're really.
I love the balancing.
I'm also
the balancing ones are my favorite.
That's awesome.
I love like slacklining and trying like yoga pose while slacklining. I love it.
That's
It's
amazing.
Like super bouncy, and you can think through all the little muscles in your body. Like as things are happening, like you can think of individual ab muscles and contract them and like get yourself to balance. And I love that like body awareness. And it's something that I wish I learned. I'm gonna impart on my daughter for sure. Is like body awareness. Like, so I love adventure sports, and snowboarding and inline skating back in the day and all that. I was a fruit booter. It happened. But when I get inverted, so like wakeboarding, I try tantrums, which is like a laid out backflip. I land on my head every time. It's because once I'm in the air, things get wonky and I just don't have it figured out. So one thing that I want to impart on my kid early is body awareness and like how to spot landings and that kind of stuff. And even if they're not into any of that, it's fine. But it's really good for even if you fall or anything else, you just tuck and roll and all that kind of stuff comes automatic when you really understand what's going on around you. When you're inverted, your brain still operates properly.
Yeah, interesting.
So I'm going to do a subject change here. So prior to you and Kate getting
done
married,
with the fitness thing. Done.
The only thing I can add is that during yoga, I'm mainly just thinking about how terrified I am of farting. Like that's like some people find it very relaxing. It's incredibly stressful for me.
Well, you just got to let it out.
I know
man.
it sounds crude.
Don't hold that in. Just
It's a room full of people. How do they know it was you?
Because I'll be the one giggling.
You give yourself away. You got to work on your poker face, buddy.
You just look over. At
No,
some
Brian,
poor-
you know I cannot do poker.
I know.
The only time I'm near a poker table is when we're in Las Vegas and I'm drinking the free beer that they give you
Because I'm winning.
because you're winning.
Yeah,
And then I drink it.
it's good fun.
Yeah, cool. So I'm glad we've established that. I have no poker face. But so before you and Kate got married, you guys flew to South America. You bought a 4Runner.
I did.
Some stuff went a little bit sideways.
South.
Literally.
Way south.
Way south. Almost to the end of the road.
So where did you fly into?
We flew into Santiago right before New Year's. So we got to spend New Year's Eve in downtown Santiago.
Awesome.
And that's where you bought the 4Runner.
We did. Yeah.
So was that a 4Runner?
I finally convinced this guy, like, Brian, you should just buy Toyotas. They're really reliable. Sorry,
Super
bro.
reliable.
Yeah.
Was it a North American registered? So did you buy it from another, or it was a South American?
So I got basically the Chilean version of a Social Security number down there. I went through the paperwork so I could buy whatever I wanted and have it Chilean plated and legal. So,
Sure, cool.
Chile's one of the few countries you can actually do that as a foreigner. So it's pretty painless. There's a huge lines and paperwork and nonsense, but there's like 2 or 3 companies down there that will help you through that process. You pay them a little bit, and it's pretty minimal. Totally worth it in that way. I don't know that the fly and buy program is worth it. My plan was I looked at all the rental rates, and we were going to be there for about 2 months, and I was like, rental rate like $8,000 for like a Hilux or something, like a basic one, not even outfitted with a camper or anything, for 2 months. And I'm like, this isn't going to work. I don't have that kind of money. So we were like, all right, well, we'll fly down. I worked out the program. I was like, I'll buy a car for, between $8,000 and $15,000. So it's semi-reliable. Make sure to go through all the fluids, make sure it's good, and then take off for 2 months and sell it for similar money, lose $2,000 or $3,000. $2,000 or $3,000, I can eat that for 2 months of travel for living in the vehicle. We got down there. My wife and I were both really sick. We had some flu thing for like a while. So New Year's Eve was rough. We're like walking around downtown, like not drinking or anything, and like stumbling around because we're like delirious. But we saw the fireworks and stuff. It was an amazing scene to be a part of.
Yeah, Santiago was great.
It's a cool city. It
Very
really
cool
is.
city. Yeah.
So in Santiago, we worked with one of these handler companies to try to find a car. They were not a great help, to be honest with you. We searched a ton. I even test drove a few. They do not take care of their vehicles in Chile. It's just how it is. Like I don't understand because the vehicles are super expensive, like way more expensive than North America to buy new and then in relevance used. And they just don't take care of them. They don't do oil changes. They don't repair the springs. I guess they just blow all their money on buying it, and then they can't maintain it or something. But they're like, oh, rust free and da 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 da. And I drive the thing, and it's just like the biggest rust bucket. The shocks are blown. I'm like, I don't want to. I don't have the money to update this thing to use it. So after a few of those experiences, we found through that agency another traveling couple that was leaving, and they had been traveling in it for like 5 months as a 4Runner. It was Chilean plated. It was like an 06 with the V6 in it, the V6 gas motor. And I was like, it's a 4Runner. It's not, I wanted something interesting. I was looking at a lot of Nivas. I was looking at Mitsubishi Monteros. I was looking at things that like we can't really get here easily. And because I wanted to write stories and I wanted something fun. I wanted a driving experience. I'm always looking for the next interesting driving experience. So I was like, all right, well, this is the most boring thing ever, but it's going to be really reliable.
And then I talked you into a 4Runner.
Yeah, and he talked me into a 4Runner, and I was like, all right, it's the most reliable thing. Of course, we can sleep inside. It's like perfect. Screw it. I'll buy it. It's good to go. It was like $8,500. Bought it 2 weeks later. We had made it to almost to Ushuaia, like a couple hundred miles away in southern Argentina, and the engine just seized. Like, we pulled over the side of the road, like seized, nothing. So I was communicating with Matt and a couple other people through my Garmin InReach, texting from the other side of the globe, like, what can I do? Is there anything I can do here? Like, I was at a lot. I mean, the engine wouldn't turn over. I had plenty of battery. I had all the things, but it was seized. Like, the piston was seized in the block. So the coolant, the head gasket had failed, and the coolant, we think, coolant got in the engine and seized. Waited on the side of the road for 3 hours. A cool traveling couple from Guatemala had a F-150 with a truck camper in it and pulled over. We waved them down. We're in the middle of nowhere on this highway. And they towed us up and over a mountain through the checkpoint into Chile to the closest town, because also in Argentina, they don't sell the gas motor. They only sell the diesel in that car. So they wouldn't even have the parts if we were to find. There's no towns down there in Argentina anyway. But so we made it over there through a storm. On that note, like the thing I always tell people to travel with or to start to get off-road and overland travel is a set of really good traction boards. So Max Tracks, we'll give you a plug there, Matt.
Thanks, bro.
They work. I literally carry them around the world. So a set of Max Tracks, 2 soft shackles, and a tow strap. And those items are what I carried with me for the vehicle from the U.S. down there. And I didn't use the Max Tracks because the car seized before we got to the good off-road stuff. But the strap and the soft shackle is what we use. So I was on a short strap, and it was a recovery strap, not a tow strap.
Sure.
So a little springy.
Yeah.
So up and over a mountain through an insane wind and rainstorm, short strapped on a camper that I can't see past, was interesting, let's say the least. No power steering at that point, no power brakes, assist, nothing. But I managed to not run into him. Any of the downhills we'd pull over, I'd unhook and then just coast down the hill.
That makes sense.
Be on my own power, and so I didn't run into him. And yeah, we made it there, and in veg we sold it for scrap. I used that scrap money. We hopped on the ferry, went through the fjords in Patagonia, which is beautiful. Do that. We did not make it to Ushuaia. We were a couple hundred miles away. It wasn't really worth it to go to the end of the road at that point. I will be back maybe on a moto next time, I hope. And then we just rented a little tiny Volkswagen car. I don't even know what they call it. They don't even have it here. It's a 4-door Econo box with, like, I don't know, 6-inch wide tires. Like, they're real. No, it's the same size, but 4-door, like, sedan. And we off-roaded the crap out of that thing. It was a rental.
Yeah, every rental has 4-wheel drive.
The most capable 4-wheel drive in the world.
It's a rental.
Unless you rent it from Nina Barlow, in which case, please be respectful.
Please be respectful. Yes, those are very nice Jeeps. But yeah, this car we finished the rest of the trip. We didn't make it to Ushuaia, but we did pretty much everything else. But we ended up spending way more because we were staying in hotels. We did have a ground tent, so we stayed in that at times. But the rest of the time when we had the 4, we were just sleeping in the back. Like, we put an air mattress in the back and our sleeping bags, and put the seats down. It was great. But yeah, so in the end, it cost me about $9,500 extra for the trip than it would have, but it's about the same as renting. So it sucked, but it was like kind of a wash. Yeah, kind of a wash. Yeah. But we missed a few things. Like, I tried to offer it. There's a few places we just couldn't go with that little car that I wanted to go.
And then you were so taken with Toyota that you bought a Lexus, which is basically a Toyota.
I did come back and try to buy a van. And buying the unicorn van that I want doesn't exist because they're all rusted out and horrible.
No, because you always look on the East Coast. This is the problem.
No, that's not true. Not true at all.
Like, van rusty, truck rusty.
Yep.
Correlation, East Coast cars.
No, the van wasn't an East Coast car.
It was a Portland car, probably rusted from kombucha.
No, Minnesota car, which is the same difference.
Oh, Jesus, that's even worse.
It's even worse. I know. Yeah, so I looked for everywhere in the country, including Canada and Mexico, and I cannot find if anybody on this podcast wants to reach out, regular body E350 7.3 non-rusted barn door van.
If you get to make your shout out, please, if anybody has AEV Highline fenders for a TJ.
There you go.
Give me a ring.
Matt needs some of those.
I need them badly.
AEV Highline fenders.
Daddy needs them.
What do I
There's
want?
actually somebody that did reach out and then ghosted me.
Oh,
It was like,
they're gonna listen to this and reach back out. You'll be okay.
please, I'm not mad. Just I want to talk. That's all I want to do.
I'm trying to think of what I need a bimini for a Catalina 250.
Yeah, you just bought a sailboat.
I did.
Nice.
It needs a bimini.
Overwatering.
Yes.
Overwatering because you
Very, very far over land.
you and Bryon did that mental sailing adventure.
Bryon
And you guys are
Bryon
both
McVickers.
sailing individuals.
I've sailed quite a bit. Yes. Kiteboard, windsurfing,
I am
yacht racing.
from cornfields.
You are. Yes.
Yeah.
I'm originally from Baltimore.
Water terrifies me, straight up. I love looking at it while drinking a margarita.
I'm going to get you in a whitewater boat. It's going to happen.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
It's going to happen.
It's like trying to get you to do something you don't want. It was like trying to get Bryon
Like what?
to
Bring it.
Okay, it's like trying to get Bryon to eat vegetables circa 2013.
Ooh, that would have been rough.
Yeah. If I would have like thrown a thing of iceberg lettuce at your head, it would have gotten about the same response as me getting into a whitewater raft.
I got you in a whitewater. No, you didn't. You chickened out at my wedding. I had whitewater kayaking and rafting, and he didn't come. Everybody else. We even got my parents, Kate's parents, in a raft. But
Had 80-year-olds in the raft, but no
class
Matt.
2, 3, but Matt and Laura did not come. They were there. They hung out in the hotel, drank
I
rosé
drove
and
across
PBR.
the country in the same way that you drove across the country to go to my wedding, but I hate water.
Oh, okay. I didn't know this about you, Matt.
I provided water for you at my...
Yeah, you even did a stand-up paddleboard out in the middle of the lake.
I did, yeah, with my suit on. That was fun.
Yeah, that was very cool.
So you have a Lexus GX 460 now.
Correct.
And I think it's on Bryan's shirt.
My Sackwear shirt.
Zoom in. So I think one of the cool things that you did with yours is you designed your own bumper.
I did.
You designed your own roof rack.
I did. I helped design the brackets for the Scheelman seats.
Yeah.
I helped design a goose gear platform system.
And you
with a
love
sleeping
your
system.
Scheelman seats because you've got lower back problems.
I love my Scheelman seats.
Yeah, what an incredible product that is.
Yeah.
That product is pricey in all regards, but it's so worth it. Like they're just, I just got back from Matt's wedding, and on the way back, it's a long drive from Telluride to Portland. And I was going to be in the back seat with the baby a bunch and working because I got the day job now. And the wife was going to drive a bunch. But instead, I ended up driving most of it because I could not sit in the back seat. My back was destroyed sitting in the back normal seats in the GX. So the Scheelman's like a little bit of heat on, and they're just ergonomic. You tweak the little lumbar support a little bit, and they're so good for long distance driving.
So what else have you done to it? Give us like
So
I'm going to say 30-second elevator speech that's under 5 minutes.
Copy. 40 seconds. Go. All right. Lexus GS 460 2013. I looked at it while I was trying to buy a van. The vans were all rusty. I found a non-rusty GX.
I talked you into it.
A little bit, yep. At the time...
I found it.
No, you didn't.
I totally found it. I found it and sent it to you.
We'll go with that. We'll go with that theory.
Because you were looking at like Land Rovers. You were going to get an LR3.
A little bit, I was.
And I'm like,
I wouldn't admit
I have
to
the distinct advantage of being Bryan's first helpline, and I just was not putting up with an LR3. Like I was putting my foot down so hard.
I might still buy one. But
Just don't.
if you do it right.
Do the theory, man. No, I get it.
Everybody.
It's going to be like that. It's going to be like that South American 4Runner, though.
One of my best
if
friends,
I'm-
Nick Shopes, has one in Portland, and I get to drive it quite often.
They're amazing.
And
when
They're
they
great.
work, they're amazing.
when it works, it's
They're amazing.
awesome.
They're amazing.
Like,
$2,500 to redo the brakes.
if I'm not your first call for when stuff goes wrong with your car, please buy a Land Rover LR3.
Okay.
Go for it.
On it. I will. But I bought a GX, and the GX 460 was already built by a guy in Georgia. Quite honestly, 95% of the parts that were on it were not up to par for my standard of quality. So, and I knew that I had a lot of partners in the industry at that point after building my Ram truck camper that I built a custom box and lived in that for quite a while. And I saw an opportunity to work with a few partners, and before I bought it, I reached out to them, and they were ready to build some parts for that platform. and I worked it out to help design a number of parts. So I designed a front bumper with Trail Ready. It is by far the most functional and tight bumper on that car.
It looks real good.
And it's the lightest, full featured one. It's got a full winch setup.
What's it made out of?
Aluminum, stainless, and steel. So there's three, but they're all in the right way to make it the lightest and strongest as possible. You can't use aluminum on a recovery point because you're just going to rip it out of the front of it. So, but it's got swivel recovery points, so soft shackles work great on it. It's got a worn winch. It's got factory G5, link on the front of it. It's just clean and works great. So I'm super happy with how that worked out. It took 2 prototypes to get it perfect. It's got integrated PL lights. Even the top bar of the grill guard has an integrated light bar, and that is like the only real off-road light about it.
And it has doesn't it have like a little storage box or something?
No storage box. It just has full access to the winch. So it has a little.
That's what it is.
Little hatch on the top. Yeah. So most full.
That's
featured
the
bumpers
problem
like that
with most of those bumpers. You can't get to the winch. Yeah.
This one you can, without opening the hatch, you can reach your whole arm in and touch everything. And with the hatch off the top, you can see the entire reel and deal with everything.
Cool.
So yeah, uncommon but needed.
Yeah, for sure.
Actual. I'm all about functionality. Like if it doesn't function, then do function and then make it look right. Like that car always has a cleft chin look, and I tried to minimize that as much as possible. It's just the body line. It's really hard to make an off-road bumper that like looks good on that thing.
True.
But it worked out really good. I'm happy with that. Did a full custom roof rack with a local company in Portland that makes van roof racks. The rack came out pretty good. I'm happy with it. It's wide, has lights on it. For me, again, it's designed to carry like 4 kayaks and a toolie box for my skis at the same time, skis and paddles and paddling gear at the same time. So I know it'll hold 2 kayaks, a mountain bike, and all the gear on the roof, which is...
You could literally do a triathlon out of your...
You could. It is, perfect. Yeah. Adventure triathlon. It might be next adventure, actually. So yeah, that worked out great. Then I worked with Goose Gear, and we did a custom drawer system. They already had a plate for it.
Yeah, that looks really good.
Yeah, it's a little higher, and it goes over the rear seats, and I got a little attachment that... gives me a sleep platform on the passenger side, so I can sleep one person. It's got a cage on there with a drop slide that Matt has at Adventure Imports, or had a few. I don't know if he has any left.
Still got a few left.
Yeah. So that worked out really good. And then it got me one of the National Luna fridges, which works amazing, the new Legacy ones. So drop fridge on top of the drawer system, sleep next to it. I'm trying to think what else is on that thing. It's got full Icon Stage 7 with a few tweaks for better springs and stuff for suspension. So, and then
suspension's crazy on that thing.
It's really nice. I could drive down Death Valley like crazy washboard at like 70, and I think I was talking to you on speakerphone one time. Like it's all good. And then we did a body mount shop, and it's got 34s, and it's got the Evo Course wheels that are like one to car on the Hilux.
Those wheels look great.
I love them. They're so clean. I wasn't originally going to go with the bronze, but they came out really good with the crazy vinyl graphics I did on the trucks. Yeah. So it's got custom sliders that came on the truck. That's the one part that I really loved that I kept on there. And it still has a rear bumper that I'm really not happy with. That's the only part left that's like really not okay.
Yeah, it's like a China Prado bumper.
It's a knockoff Kmart bumper. Let's be straight. The best bumper for that truck is the Kmart. The Kmart costs 4 times at retail what all the other competitors are. It is the best, but I don't know. I don't have that kind of money to put into a rear bumper, so I haven't bought one. But yeah, if you want the best, buy the
and
Kmart
all of
rear
those
bar for that truck.
Style, like the Kmart is great, but they're kind of a pain to use with those latches, and they haven't really innovated like some of the ARB stuff, like some of the AEV stuff. Like
it's a better latch than the cheap knockoff ones. I'll tell you that because it holds up. The mine are all wearing out from rattling on the road, so all the joints are rattling off.
Have you looked at would a Prado 150 rear door fit on your truck?
It would. People have done that. Yeah.
That would be interesting.
Mm-hmm. I had Matt Glass's Prado door sitting in the Max Trax warehouse for months.
I remember that.
I feel bad. It was like he ordered it, and then all the containers just like started being full to capacity, and I'm like, sorry, dude.
The Prado 120 for his 470.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, there's a ton of cool Prado parts you can put on it, and some 4Runner parts you can kind of sort of make work. Trail Ready just made a rear single swing out for the 5th gen 4Runner. It might fit. I'm not sure, but it looks really good. It's kind of heavy, kind of overbuilt. I'm super conscious of weight. Like I really care about the weight. And so
How much have you weighed your truck?
So I don't remember the number, but it was within 100, 150 pounds of GVW with me in it, fully loaded with water, fuel, food, kayak, mountain bike, gear, all of it. And it was just over GVW, like 100 pounds over GVW.
And you had, you've removed the third row seats.
I have, yep.
That saves a lot of weight.
It does, yep.
And then you removed part of the rear seat.
No, all the rear seats are in place. Even with the bed platform, it folds underneath. Because I want to be able to quickly convert it back and be able to haul people and my baby. And
Got it. Sure, yeah, sure. Yeah. Cool.
So, and then Shieldman seats and Switch Pro system and Mule Expedition Outfitters helped me dial in the electrics. And the electrics are all, like, it's all shrink wrapped and labeled and run appropriately. And cell phone booster from WeBoost. And
yeah, the WeBoosts are really good.
It works.
Mine never works.
I've heard such mixed results on it.
Well, because it's not MIMO, right? It's like trying to whatever band it latches onto. It's only bringing one in, where your phone, like the new iPhone, will have. I think it's like they call it 4x4, where it will bring 4 different bands in and combine them.
Interesting.
So it's great for voice. It's not.
I find it amazing when I'm on the edges of cell signal. So you have to have some signal or it works not at all. Yeah. But when you have some signal, it boosts it like double. And it's
that's my experience.
Like when I can't get out a text even, all of a sudden I can make phone calls, which is huge.
Yeah.
So I've used it effectively to work on the road. It has helped me. But they are expensive, and it's a big crapshoot as to whether it's worth it, quite honestly. Like
I think it's so situation dependent. I put one on my Gladiator just because where I live, I drive through this dead zone, which you're familiar with.
I know all about your dead zone.
Yeah. And it didn't do anything for that dead zone. Surprisingly.
If it's dead, it's dead. You got to have some signal.
I mean, like there's 1 or 2 bars, but it's just like.
You put the phone right on the booster? Like you actually.
No.
No, it's an internal antenna. So
I have the RV one,
which
I
have as well.
Supposed to have the bigger antenna, but like.
So yours is the directional one then? Or is yours the omnidirectional, the new omnidirectional one?
Omnidirectional one.
It should be omnidirectional.
Yeah. So when we talk to WeBoost, the key to it is you've got to have your phone like
on it
near the antenna.
Well, because I think
within an inch of the antenna.
Really?
Within an inch of the antenna to get the maximum.
Because the RV one, the way it's set up is as another antenna on the inside of the car, and it's supposed to broadcast within the vehicle.
Yeah. You got to have it right on top of it.
I'm going to try this next time.
So try
I've had it close, but not that close.
So put it right on it, and you'll actually watch the bars go up on your phone. So as you pull it away, you can watch the bars go down, and that's how you know it's working. But pretty amazing. Cool. So
I'm testing this MoFi 5G router right now.
Is that the one that Mike's got? I think that's one. It's a 5G router.
Oh, I think he's got the Cradle Point one.
Yeah, he loved it.
Yeah, I think he's got the Cradle Point one. This is like
These guys aren't internet nerds or anything.
This is the
total nerds.
So this is like the equivalent for my tax bracket versus Mike's. It's kind of the cheaper one.
Yeah, sure.
Love Mike.
I got you.
we all have different levels of wealth.
Well, so we should probably wrap up here because this is a bit long. So we're going to do a subsequent podcast with Bryon. So Bryon and Scott were both just on Trek, which is kind of an athletic / 4-wheel drive competition that Land Rover has always historically done. And
Bryon won that.
Bryon won it, which is really cool.
Won the media wave. We'll put the qualifier on there, but it was amazing. I did win.
And who was on your team?
Who was on my team? We had Jeff from Hooniverse, and we had Tommy from TFL Off Road.
Yeah, the guys crushed it.
Don't discredit yourself because the other waves are used car salesmen.
That's not true.
Isn't that? It was always.
It's like it could be technicians or it could be their.
It's dealers, and they always have at least one front of house and one back of house, and then a third person. So it's 3 people from the dealership. So there's a technician, a salesman, and somebody. Yeah,
I'm still kind of right.
They sell new cars too. I worked at a Land Rover dealer. We'll throw that in. We'll talk about that. In the next
that was
podcast.
my first job as I worked for Land Rover.
I do want to ask.
I heart that brand.
There's a couple questions I do like to ask, and I'd love to get your insights because I know that you're well read, Bryon. Is there a couple books that you have found in your readings that like really changed the course of your life, where you thought about something in a different way than you had before?
I'm not a prolific reader at all. I definitely read read a decent amount. But
Dr. Seuss to your daughter doesn't count.
I haven't done that yet, but that's coming soon. Yeah. She's only 3 months old. I'm working on it. But wow, that's a tough one. I can't think of one off the top of my head.
That's okay.
Yeah, I don't.
Harry Potter.
There's been some interesting marketing books that in university around that time. Marketing is one of the things that always has stuck with me. In high school, I was winning with zero studying or doing anything. I'd show up at national competitions and win marketing awards. It was really kind of weird. So that's actually, I had no clue what to do. So that's why I went to college for marketing. I was like, oh, I'm good at this and I don't have to study at all. This is perfect. I can have a good college experience. Yeah, man.
That's okay. You don't have to have an answer for that.
Yeah,
we can just cut that right out of the podcast.
No, it's all right. We can leave it in there.
So unread.
I don't know. I'm not educated. No, books. I mean, I read a lot of adventure books.
Is there an adventure book you like?
Well, so how about here's one? Let Your People Go Surfing.
It's a great one.
Chenard's
Yvonne Chenard.
Yeah. So that one's a really powerful book, whether you're in a business or not. I find that one
excellent.
That one really good. Forget the name of the the people that started Cliff
Bar. Sure.
Kind of the case study on that. It's a really good read. A fun one that I don't know if you're going to learn anything from, but is the driver. So the guy that Alex Roy, who drove cross country. They made a movie out of it. I haven't watched the movie. The movie's Apex.
Is there a movie?
Apex. It's on. I think you pay for it on YouTube or something.
It's like a B movie.
I mean, it's like a documentary / like entertainment film, but about the the Cannonball Run. So setting the record coast to coast.
Is that the guy that did it in the black Mercedes?
No, it was an M5.
M5.
Okay.
He's done it in a lot of. He currently has the 3-wheeler record. The Morgan. He did it in a Morgan 3-wheeler.
That's a little bit obscure.
Well, yeah. But he did have the overall record in a BMW M5 that was fully prepared.
Were you there when we got really drunk with him in Vegas with Matt Rodonicus from 4x4 Australia?
I was there for a little bit of that, him and Richard Rollins.
Yeah. I got real toasted. I think I was also like 22 and in Vegas on Scott's dime.
Thank you, Warren, for the amazing booze and at Cabo Wabo.
I drank so much inappropriately on this guy's tab when I was working for him. I'm sorry.
What are we doing right now, Matt?
and let's be straight. Matt didn't drink on Scott's tab. He would just be on Scott's time as an employee, but he'd be drinking free booze from all the manufacturers.
Well, also drinking off of your poker tabs.
Well, that came later, but yes, absolutely. Yeah. Poker and blackjack.
Yeah. And on that bombshell, we're going to end this. Thank you for listening to the Overland Journal podcast with Bryon Dorr, Scott Brady, and myself, Matt Scott. Stay tuned for the next round of all of this, and safe travels.
Safe travels. Thanks for listening.